This just came out yesterday, yesterday. And Horizon, we've been talking about Horizon for a while. Kevin Costner, self-produced Western, spent so much money on 2 movies. First one bombed so bad they pulled it. It was supposed to have like a June release and an August release. They pulled the second one. It's going to come out eventually, but here's some drama from the second one. Apparently, one of the stunt women in there is now suing Kevin Costner for putting her on the spot during the day. He decided to add a rape scene. And she was a photo double and stunt double for one of the lead actresses, right? And so randomly, he just said, hey, we're doing this today. You're getting in there. We're going to make this happen. Go. And now we've had all these protocols we've been talking about with SAG-AFTRA, with intimacy coordinators, and with, like, again, notification. That's a big thing that's been happening. Notification for these kind of scenes. And there's supposed to be this rule now we put into our contract that's saying 48 hours notification before you have any kind of actor or stunt person or any kind of like talent going into these scenes so they can digest it, accept it, and sign off on it. On the spot, that's a problem. And we've been talking about this for a long time. That's become a problem in Hollywood. A lot of people don't feel comfortable. They say, I'll just say yes because I'm worried about my job. And so now we're finding out that she is actually opening up a lawsuit against Kevin Costner and this whole thing for sexual harassment. That's what they're calling it. For sexual harassment because it's a violent, unscripted rape scene. And Kevin Costner apparently kept making it more and more violent as it was going along and more violent. And his team's actually calling this a shakedown and saying that she's coming after him for unspecified damages because she's just trying to get more money out of him. And I think that's not the case we're dealing with right now. I feel like it's the idea of this whole intimacy coordinator thing that's becoming a big staple in Hollywood right now. And what does that mean? What does it mean to be safe on set, to be comfortable at your job, and also to have space? Because again, she's trying to say in her claim that everybody's there, it's very, very violent. She's pretty much naked and the scene's going down. It's getting more and more violent. And there's like the whole cast and crew pretty much watching it. And when you have these scenes, they usually lock them down. Guys, this is brutal. There's a lot going on here. I think this is going to really shine some light on the whole intimacy coordinator thing in Hollywood and what it means for like putting actors and on the spot. I want to see how this plays out. It's very early. I'm going to ask Allie about this today. But guys, let's dive into it. All right, let's get right into it. Allie, let's get into this because people are wondering, people are knowing you've done a lot of stunts before. You've gotten into it, right? You hear about this. Now, this is a big production, massive production, right? And you've worked as a stunt person before, right? If you were on set, is this something that happens where they decide to add like a massive kind of sexual like double scene like this on the day? Is that something that can happen? And do you think that she might have a real lawsuit here?
I know. This has not happened to me personally. I know it reminds me of something that's not even a stunt person thing, honestly. It reminds me of what happened some years ago on great, now I can't think of what that show was called. On a certain HBO show.
Oh yes. I think I know what you're talking about.
So we call it that way anyway. So on this particular show, they changed who did their background artists, right? Because they were not warning people what kind of scene they were being a part of. And they had them show up, and on the day, they were in an orgy scene. And some of those people were even asked to disrobe like on the day. Like there were people just in production who were like, yeah, you should take this off and you guys need to simulate sex and da-da-da. That's the kind of thing that people will do if they feel they can get away with it. Productions will pull this kind of stunt because they can. It was wholly inappropriate. There were many people who were not down to be a part of that kind of content, would have said no if they had known in advance that that's what they were going to be a part of. I feel from what it sounded like, this sounds more akin to that. I don't necessarily know, like, I don't know enough about him to know whether he would do it on purpose, but you'll have a director or writer or producer who is zeroed in on their vision. They would know what's needed. What I understood was that it's not a scripted scene.
Not scripted at all.
In advance. She gets there on the day and they're like, you know what? We really need this for the movie. But it's not something she cleared as being okay for her. And then, you basically have to do it right now, or else you're burning their shoot day. You're burning their hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So, she had to say yes right now. And then the scene continues to get more and more violent. The stats are insane for how many women have experienced sexual violence. It's a much higher number than we're generally comfortable thinking about. I've worked on sets where this was a premiere topic. There were the scenes, and it takes a lot of effort to make sure that not even just the person performing, but the other people on set near them can be comfortable and able to move forward. And even knowing the content in advance and having a lot of warning, we had people breaking down on the set that I was on from being too close to this content.
Yeah.
It's not fair to put that upon somebody in their working day to potentially re-traumatize someone. And it would be different if she agreed to it. If she said, this is what I'm going to do. She had that script, a couple days, a week, or whatever in advance. They had, sounds like if they had given her proper notice, they could have gotten someone else.
They probably could have easily. And to me, it's like, why are you throwing that? I mean, because that wasn't part of the day. I know I saw like El Santo saying like, they fire people, but that's the thing. Like these situations, you're in a union job. It's a union job here. And it's like, we plan these things, right? They're all planned for a reason. That's the weirdest impromptu like scene to be throwing at people. I've had them throw like a half a page scene because, we're in the same location. Let's have this walk and talk here. But like a sexual scene like this for somebody that's been doing a doubling and all this and working for them, they knew they had her in a spot, and she'll just do it. And you don't know what that person's going through. And people just say yes all the time. They just say yes because like, what am I going to do right now? Or you have to do this now. Go, action. And then it's like, what's happening to me? It sucks that she felt uncomfortable and then she felt forced. And now, she's filed with SAG. She filed with the state. She's got all this massive lawsuit going. It's going to be big. I think it's going to be big.
I'm glad she did it because of these issues coming up, right? Yeah. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with them getting somebody else for those things.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them having the scene in the movie. Like, I'm not a big disclaimer person, I'm not much for trigger warnings and stuff. Like, I think we've gotten to the point where we maybe overdo those things, but to have somebody acting in this and to be clear, like, we understand they weren't going through it, right? Like, it wasn't porn.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When you're acting a scene like that, it should feel real. And it very likely felt very real to her. And she probably had to do it over and over again for hours. So to put yourself in that headspace, in that mind space,
it's a lot
for hours. And if you don't do this thing that might be torturous, like we don't know her history, we don't know what has ever happened to her in her life. And even if nothing quite that traumatizing has ever happened to her, asking her to put herself in that mind frame over and over again without like any notice to consider it feels like a very unreasonable thing to do.
And the thing is, too, we were just going into this with our contracts, too, Allie, about like the notification, giving more intimacy coordinators here for these situations so people are comfortable, time to think about it, time to process it, not throwing this at someone like last minute where these situations can come up, where someone could be in shell shock, someone could be like, it could be taking them back some way. And we put like infrastructure. And she quoted that, too, that the SAG contract was breached with Los Angeles, with SAG. And that's why they're going after this production even more.
And I think, that there's this idea that people have, and it's part of the chat, right? There's like, well, actors are supposed to do this. She's a stunt woman. And there's a type of at play, but it's way different. They are there to do the action stuff. What she is trained to do is way different than a rape scene.
Yeah. And the thing is, those actors have a lot of negotiations for those scenes. Guys out there, they have a lot of negotiations.
People are doing the same level of negotiations in that. That's absolutely the power trip and bullshit. Yeah. That's terrible.
Advantage of her, like under no.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you don't bring somebody out the street that's a stunt person who's not an actor and ask her to recreate something. And I don't agree with what El Santo and Angel said. No, there's no real sex going on 99% of the time in movies. But you don't ask somebody that's not trained as an actor to recreate something that may be very traumatic from their history in life. Maybe could be she was raped or had it attempted on it. It's just not something you should do. And that's why I want this to go to court so we get all the facts, not just, some of them.
Yeah. And I can tell there's a lot of stunt people that are very great actors too. Great fucking actors. There are a lot. But again, a lot of times, what do you actually cast for? Like, what kind of contract did you sign? That it all comes down to the nitty gritty. And I know people are like, well, the thing is, it comes down nitty gritty. And that's one thing.
Is it a weird question? Do you guys know where this was filmed?
I think Utah. I think that's where. Yeah.
It actually is an extra part of my point that in other states, especially right to work states, is where they're taking advantage of actors and stunt people significantly more, because here we know our rights and we know what they should or shouldn't ask us to do. They're way more inclined. I mean, I guess I don't know Utah specifically, but like in New Mexico, in Texas, they're way more inclined to ask you to do something that they know they shouldn't ask you to do because they can get away with it, because they know that you probably don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah. So, and it was Utah. 100%. So who knows?
I mean, so yeah. So I guess what I would ask the people who are watching to understand is that it seems like, well, it's an actor. They're being asked to act. That's not necessarily the case. Someone was asked to do something that is very sensitive, that is quite possibly beyond what they have ever trained to do, and they were given no time to consider it. The kind of pressure being put on your job to do something that might be legitimately very traumatizing to you was not a reasonable thing. And if somebody did that to someone who was your family, you might feel more sensitive about it.
Yeah. It's just sad this is happening. We're going to wait to see how it plays out.
Yo, player, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. And if you are able to join our Patreon, please join. Because the Pep Star needs more snickety snacks. Because I'm hungry. Holla back. Love y'all.